Hello friends, and thanks for being here. It's episode number 53 of No Putts Given. A ton of new products coming to the market this week, so we're going to go around the room and break them down. Let's get it.
No Putts Given is powered by MyGolfSpy, the most extensive reviews in golf. Before you buy, MyGolfSpy. 9 million readers do it every year. Check us out.
Okay, like I said, thanks for being here, and don't forget to subscribe, like us, comments, leave us reviews. We want to know what you're thinking. So today we have Tony, Harry, and Chris, as always, here to chat with us. And guys, how's it going? How's your week been?
Been busy.
Yeah, lots coming out on Monday. Huh?
Oh, yeah, Monday. A lot of stuff happened. And some of the Monday stuff had to get pushed to Wednesday because Monday was so busy. Anyway, yeah, it's a good week for equipment. This is like a mid-January quality week for new golf equipment.
I was going to say, this is normally not this time of year for everyone to get new product out, correct?
I mean, you see a trickle, like, just about everybody has something new in the fall. It's just odd where 3 companies are like, yeah, let's just do it all on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, before we break that down, I wanted to chat quickly and get everyone's thoughts. No patrons at the Masters taking place in November this year, so shoot, that means we can't go.
like we can get in there anyway, so...
Right.
Yeah, now you don't get to go for 2 years, right? Because they did the refund thing. So, like, if you had tickets for this year, they're automatically, applying those to next year. So, 2022, next best opportunity. And my big question is, if there's no patrons at the tournament, do they still call them patrons?
Who's going to eat the pimento cheese sandwiches for $1.50?
I will.
Hopefully you can order those by mail. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it just pimento cheese and bread? Is there something else on it?
No, that's the sandwich.
It's cheese sandwich, basically.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, Miranda says that like it's a bad thing.
Okay, extremely relevant news that we're talking about today.
Thanks for tuning into our golf podcast.
All right, so let's jump into the bulk of our conversation today. Tony, I'm going to have you go first. New Taylormade irons. Take a stand. Are these the best looking irons that Taylormade has ever made?
Yes. Am I done? Was that?
I mean, you've got a little bit more time. You're on the clock.
Okay, yeah, no, I think if you look aesthetically clean, kind of flowing lines, Taylormade in the past, if you look kind of like the RSI line was somebody commented on where the technology was always visible. That was a big thing, the Taylormade visible technology, so you could see slots and bright colors sometimes even on irons that targeted better players. Here you have really clean, dare we say, Mizuno-like lines, an emphasis on feel and the aesthetics of it. And I think the stuff doesn't happen necessarily, it's not planned, it's sort of the progression as designers move in and out of new roles. So, several years ago, RSI lines, the lead designer was, a guy. We don't have to mention names here. And then somebody else took over, evolved the line, and now it's you have somebody else, Matt Bovee, who's kind of running the iron lineup now, and you're seeing sort of as people move in and out, aesthetics progress, change, and in this case, I think clearly for the better.
All right, Harry, take a stand. Are these the best Taylormade irons that you've ever seen?
Best looking, right?
Yes, best looking, sorry.
Yes. And then I'm just going to quote Tony. I mean, just look at them. Look, they are like one of those phenomenal looking irons that you're like, do I even play them, or do I just put them on my shelf? They are one of those ones that you're like, ooh, I don't play blades because I just want the forgiveness, but I might go buy them. They're that good looking. I am considering right now, yes.
Considering playing them or putting them on your shelf? And does your wife have an opinion as to whether...
My wife does not have an opinion, no.
As to whether you can decorate with the golf clubs.
She does not get an opinion.
This is going into my man cave when we get...
A man cave? Right now, the man cave is a cardboard box in the dining room.
No, they are very, very beautiful looking irons. Very far away from, in my opinion, the worst looking iron, which is the burner bubble oversized back in the day. But I mean, the closest thing to these, in my opinion, were the RAC TP MB irons back in 2008. I thought they were good looking irons, but these just blow them out of the water.
All right, Chris, take a stand. Are these the best looking irons TaylorMade has ever made?
Yes, but with two big asterisks.
No asterisks. No, this is yes or no question.
Yes.
I'll allow an asterisk.
Thank you. Do appreciate that. Asterisk number 1. I would love to see them from address. Now, I've no doubt I haven't seen them in person, so I haven't seen them in hand. So it's hard to say definitively.
Harry, could you please address the
Harry,
iron?
can you show it to me from address?
Oh,
I
one.
do think that's an interesting point, though. Like, as much as we talk about how irons look, we're talking a lot about how they look like on a shelf or on a wall. And one of the first things that I look at with an iron is how it looks at address. And that's where, I think you get people that are very picky about top line and how that flows into the hosel and the neck transition. What does that look like? So I'm not 100% sold on that. I'd want to see that first, but by all accounts, yeah, I'm gonna say that this is most likely the best one they've had from an aesthetic standpoint. The other half asterisk, I guess, would be I would love to see the old TP logo. Right, the old kind of Corvette looking symbol badge. You could do something really cool with that. So
You mean like the racing flags? Like
yes,
No,
yes,
no.
I love those.
No, we have
those.
grown up from 14 years old.
It's Chris's time, so I will yield. But
I'm just saying, if you had that like super clean, that little thing on the toe or whatever, that would be that'd be pretty killer. But what do I know?
Dude, I bet you were the kid that when you had hair back in the day, if you ever did have hair.
I did have hair.
well, we've seen that high school football picture.
Dude, you would have those 3 Go Faster stripes like in your hair. That's why
Yes.
you won that racing stripe on this club.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a stripe; it's the logo. It's the little badge looking.
I know what you mean, but no.
I mean, you have this like super sleek, clean design that's just like where what passes for, I guess, what you would call the color in it comes from mixing textures and finishes like brushed and polished steel. And you want to throw bright red racing flags on that?
Just a little one, just a little garnish. Like you go to a great restaurant and the presentation, how they plate the food.
TaylorMade, do not listen to Chris. You did an excellent job here.
TaylorMade, give me a little garnish.
Hey, Chris, go buy a sticker and then plop it on there with your like tree fitty sticker you put on your X1 Honey.
My X1 Honey irons. Done.
Such
Okay.
a bad idea.
Unanimous across the board. Yes, they're the best looking irons. Chris, you have an asterisk. Okay, moving on. Mizuno on Monday announced the new ES21 Wedge. So I want to know, did Mizuno just create a whole new wedge category? Chris, let's start with you. What do you think?
If you say yes with an asterisk, I'm leaving.
So not yet. They have not created a new category as of yet. It's one of those things we'll know in retrospect whether they did or not. And the reason I say that is this. You go back to a certain point in time and there's been transition. There used to be a point in time where if you saw somebody like with a 2-ball putter, kind of looked at them like, what is that hideous looking thing, right? And it got to the point where it looked really odd at first by most accounts. It was very, very different based on what else was in the market, and it generally found a level of acceptance with a lot of different players. So the question being here with wedges, something that has, is a little bit bigger, maybe has, like this one's a little bit more of a high toe design, but there's more technology from a CG standpoint. Does it allow people to hit different shots and do something different in terms of performance that other wedges to date have not been able to accomplish? I think they're possibly onto something here. And so I'm going to say, yes, it's a step toward a new category. If it creates a new category, we'll know 2 to 3 years when we start to see. You really have to see a market leader do something like that. I think if you saw a Vokey do something like that, then you could say
That's not going to happen.
I'm not saying it's going to happen or not, but that would be like the quintessential, hey, I mean, because again, think about it, the 2-ball putter. Everybody has high MOI, larger head designs now, right? Everybody does, even the original, right? Ping. They have designs that mimic that. There isn't a company really that doesn't have a high MOI putter, but right now, industry leaders don't have a similar wedge design with what Mizuno's come out with, so we'll see.
All right, Tony, what do you think? Did Mizuno create a whole new wedge category?
No, I don't think they did here. I would describe the ES21, which I and even some inside of Mizuno think probably should have been called the DS21. More on that maybe in a later show. But essentially, what I would describe this is as a sensible take on a high toe wedge. So if you look at what Callaway did, which some would say borrowed heavily from the Ping ISOL design, and then TaylorMade with all its big feet, kind of raise that toe and with it raise the center of gravity. That promotes higher spin, which is what most golfers say they want with their wedges, especially amateur golfers. Like, I want more wedge spin. I want to be able to stop the ball on the green. I'd love to see it suck back every now and again, that sort of thing. So what Mizuno did is take that idea of raising the center of gravity and put it into a design that is, in my opinion, should prove to be more playable on full shots. The stuff we've seen, again, PM Grind, Bigfoot, like really, really versatile, functional around the green. But my experience and some of the people I've talked to as well, when you try and hit those full, especially like a sand wedge loft, it's a difficult club to hit. And so Mizuno's kind of blended that with a traditional wedge, kind of a Bigfoot meets regular in the middle kind of thing. And I think from there you get some of the versatility of a high toe wedge, but more functionality on a full shot, easier to hit. And again, the spin benefit from that higher center of gravity. So I think, not entirely new, sort of an evolution, meet me in the middle kind of thing that I think could prove to be really intriguing. And I'm certainly going to get these out on the course and spend some time with them and see what happens.
All right, Harry, what about you? Does it fit in any of the most wanted categories, or are we having to figure out something new?
I mean,
it's a wedge.
It's a wedge. It's going to fit in there.
Whether they wanted to or not.
It's a bit like when we have the players' distance irons and game improvement, we're looking at lofts and we're in between categories for that. So I think that it's kind of like a looks perspective. I think they could be in a category of their own, purely because it looks like a game improvement wedge with that really thick sole and thicker top line, but it's still like a sleek look as well as a blade wedge that is typically you would see. As far as the CG location, I mean, they've moved it into a place where a lot of the golfers hit that shot anyway, so it's gonna, performance-wise, it could be great, but I'm a believer in as soon as we find out if it's good or not, then we can talk if it's gonna be a new category leader in that aspect. I let the performance of the club do it, and then we can see if it actually did move the needle or not. Because let's face it, Foki are not gonna copy someone else. They're always pushing the boundaries and making a wedge that is leading that category. They're not gonna follow someone else's suit.
Okay, moving on. The new Tiger Woods wedge. Harry, I want to know, should you actually play it?
Well, is it Tiger Woods' wedge? Is it really? I don't know. That's obviously up in the air, and it's always going to be up in the air because until you cut it open, you really don't know where Tiger wants his CG and blah, blah, blah. So they could say that. I think this is a very good market employ, potentially to sell more products, because Tiger Woods, if you want Tiger Woods' wedge, you could say, hey, this is exactly what he's buying. And now if that's true, fantastic. It's not a ploy. It's a natural realization that it is Tiger Woods' wedge. But until I know that, I am a little bit skeptical. When I look down on it personally, the face is off-putting. I don't like the look of the grooves and the weird squares that they have in there. So aesthetically, no, I don't like the look of it. I haven't hit it yet, but we'll see. Again, performance. Does it perform? Does it not? Because we have proven that looks and feel does not matter to performance, and I'm all about performance. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, see ya.
All right, Chris, should you play the new Tiger Woods wedge?
Only if it fits you. I mean, right? That's from the Captain Obvious file. If it fits you, great, but not because it says TW on it or it's Tiger Woods wedge or you think it's Tiger Woods wedge. Right? I said that's, I don't blame TaylorMade at all for going that route with it. It makes sense. It's an easy marketing story to tell alongside it, and so I don't blame them at all for going that route. I do wonder if there isn't an opportunity, like it made me think right away about Voke's K grind, because that came directly from Tom Kite, hence the K in K grind. And so you kind of wonder, what would that look like if companies started talking more about what players use different grinds and why? And I don't think, Vokey would start going, hey, this is the Tom Kite wedge or anything like that. But, if you really started to look at what players use what grinds and for what reasons, again, it goes back to that performance story here that you're talking about. So if you're looking at saying, oh, it's the TW grind. Oh, this is great. This is one that Tiger uses. I don't have a wedge game like Tiger's. I'm not nearly as good as him.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
I don't know that what benefits Tiger Woods is going to be what benefits me at all. In fact, I might say, hey, Tiger Woods grind. Okay, not a chance I want it. That is, that's not going to be fit for me. But I don't know. You have to get out and try them. But
Can I just quickly jump in? I know it's not my turn, but you did say something great about the every grind. Well, the K grind, Titleist. Every grind that they do is based on a pro player, from what I've been told, from a fitting rep, but they don't publicize it. I didn't know that. Potentially, that is a great way to sell more products, but I think they're more about performance and not about saying, hey, this is what this guy plays.
All right, Tony, you're on the clock. Should you actually play Tiger's Wedge? You probably know the most about it out of everyone.
Yes.
So first I would say to Harry that, in every press release with a new wedge grind, Titleist always makes a point to mention who on tour happens to use that grind. I typically don't focus on it because I fundamentally believe that your choice in a wedge shouldn't be driven by who on tour happens to be playing it. So I think that rolls nicely into the Tiger conversation. So I tend to be a guy who believes in grinds from a fitting perspective. I believe they're hugely important. I don't know if we may have mentioned that in a time or two. So, I've been hard on TaylorMade in the past. I've always felt like their grind options were limited compared to Titleist and even Callaway, kind of the market leaders in the wedge space. So for me, the release of a new grind, the addition of a new grind to the lineup is always going to be a good thing. And obviously from a marketing perspective, if you can stick a T-dub on it, that's going to help you a little bit. The grind itself, quite frankly, reads similarly to what you would expect from a Vokey D grind, sort of a kind of a wide sole, better player's wedge with plenty of relief to give you some versatility to use it around the green. So it's a double-edged sword where you think, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I maybe shouldn't play a Tiger Woods wedge because he's an all-time great and I'm just a weekend scrub. But at the same time, right, that grind has a purpose, and you are going to have similarities in your game to Tiger Woods. And it's like Chris said, if that grind fits you, it's not sort of like this out-of-the-world, totally bizarre grind. It's right. A relatively simple, straightforward, logical grind. I think it's probably going to work well for a lot of golfers. And in that respect, I think I'm all for it. Welcome addition to the TaylorMade wedge lineup.
All right, moving on. So there's so many new products. All of these are new products, but the new TaylorMade Spider, I want to know, did they just make a mallet that feels like a blade? Chris, why don't you jump in on this one?
This one, I don't like this one because it's so halfway in between like 4 or 5 different things. So the idea here, right, is that it's a more forward center of gravity mallet, right? So if you look down at it, the footprint of it is of a larger putter. And typically what we see with larger putters is the reason you have that larger footprint is so that you can take weight and move it away from the face. You can move it rear and toward the perimeter of whatever that footprint is to try and help MOI make it a more forgiving, more stable, right? A more stable putter. So the idea here is like, hey, this looks like that, but it really isn't. And so my question with this is really, who is this for? I get theoretically who it's for, but I just don't know how many of those people are actually out there. I think people that want to play a mallet like the stability and the performance that they get from that, and people that want to play a blade, there's better ways, I think, to make a blade play more stable than to take a blade and make it look like something it isn't. So this one's just kind of too halfway in between a couple different worlds, and I don't know that it does either of them well.
All right, Tony, I see you're ready. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a strong opinion either way. I'm not a guy who is I'm your wedge guy. I'm not your putter guy. So yeah, I think Chris makes some valid points, but I think if you're looking at, hey, how do I create a product that fits a guy who maybe doesn't actually know what fits him or thinks that he belongs in something else, this isn't a bad stab at that. So you have guys who realistically need the type of performance that you would typically get out of a blade more often than you would get out of a mallet. And so like there's a mindset, like I am a mallet guy. I play mallets, and that mindset may not correlate with actual reality. And so if you are I'm a mallet guy, but you probably don't need a mallet or may not even benefit from a mallet, then I guess this is potentially an option to sort of resolve the conflict between who you are and who you think you are as a putter. But like I said, I'm whatever.
All right, Harry, did they make a mallet that feels like a blade?
Short answer, yes. I've hit it here in the studio. My only concern about this is, with this model, are they trying to fix a problem that isn't there? That is my only thing, is like
deep thoughts from Harry.
Deep tip. I just don't see it, like, and I've hit it here. So I have it right here. It is very close to the Spider Mini, for size wise. And if you hit off the toe, it feels like a toe hang putter from a blade that's really severe, and you feel that like dead feeling off the face. And then when you hit off the middle, it's still it feels fine, but it doesn't feel consistent. I just don't personally like it. Especially when with this is another thing that when you look down at this, I'll have to turn upside down for you. But that black and white combo, you can see the whole face, and it looks like you've got 10 degrees of loft. So it makes you manipulate the face angle of it by forward pressing. Therefore, you're delofting, and therefore you might be hitting it into the ground just purely because of perception. So personally, I think they're fixing a problem that's not there. That's my bottom line.
All right, so another unanimous category. Everybody's on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Solidly meh.
Yeah, solidly meh. I think from another perspective, it's a step towards complexity as opposed to simplicity. And we know that golfers struggle with getting fit. We know this. So you go to get fit for a putter, and now we're talking about toe hang, arc, tempo, MOI, effective MOI, things that are torque balance, toe up designs, all these things. And consumers are already confused, right? What length putter do I need? What weight? Should, if the greens are faster, should I go with a lighter putter? If they're slower, should I go with a heavier putter? What does that look like? I'm getting conflicting information. And now I have a mallet that plays like a blade, or a blade that plays like a mallet, or I have, it just introduces another layer of unnecessary confusion to a conversation that golfers already can't really, navigate their way through very well.
All right, let's start a new clock. Titleist black irons, and this is personal preference. I want to know, Tony, do you prefer black or chrome irons?
This is crazy. Like all of a sudden we have props for every topic. I don't know.
I know, right? Like how that happens.
You guys came prepared.
Yeah, no, I brought everything up in case we decide to talk about it. Definitely prefer black wedges. So I've been in Vokey Jet Black for the last couple of releases, like the Ping black stuff, the stealth wedges they did look really good. Cobra's black wedges look really good as well. Black irons, I tend to be, it really depends on the execution, and for better or worse, mostly worse. The majority of black irons on the market tend to be PVD finish, which wears quickly, and your hope is, hey, does it kind of wear gracefully and slowly turn gray, so to speak, or is it kind of a poorly applied finish on top of being a not so durable finish, where in addition to wearing it chips and things like that. So, they look great, absolutely phenomenal looking now. I'm not convinced. And when you get into, again, like the T100, or excuse me, the T200 in particular, where you also have a badge that comes into play and you need to plate the badge as well. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, a lot of things that can get scratched up and wear. So, I'm giving them a go. I'm curious to see what they look like, but typically I tend to gravitate towards, like I said, flat black wedges and sort of flatter satin finishes. Mizuno JPX 921 Tour is a good example, type finishes in irons.
All right, Harry, black or chrome irons?
I don't know.
That's definitive.
I don't know what the hell that noise was, but
Final Jeopardy meets Disney.
here's my thing is I don't care. The only thing is when I got my wedge fit, and I'll go back to the fitting. I had a chrome option and a jet black option as well, and the chrome version looked huge to me, and they're all the same specs. But for my eye, it just looked bigger. It looked like a plate compared to the black version. So I went for the smaller compressed model that to me, it looked like it was compressed, but in reality, they're exactly the same specs. So for me, it would be just whatever fits my eye. And of course, as Tony brought up a great point with, if they're going to wear and it just looks like shit at the end of the day, I probably won't go for it. And chrome's always going to stay that consistent look for the most part.
All right, Chris, how about you? Black or chrome irons?
I'm going chrome. I'm definitively in the chrome category. My issue with the black ones, I love how they look. Like I said, out of the box, on the wall, etc. To me, black irons are like bubble gum. And when you were a kid, or maybe this is still kind of where you're at, you get that bubble gum that's like really amazingly good for about 34 seconds. And then after a minute and a half, you want to chuck it in the trash. Now,
No, you got to just power through that. You just keep chewing.
Just until it's like hard and a rock in your jaw.
I think you're specifically talking about the gumball machines, the ones you have to put a quarter in. That's what you're talking about.
Double Bubble is absolutely in there. Hubba Bubba actually lasted a little long. Hubba Bubba might be like the DLC. Here's my point.
Okay.
Is black finishes are always going to wear. Black, what we know about black finishes are going to wear over time. If it's a really cheap PVD finish, it's going to wear quicker. That's like the really nasty gum stuff. If it's a higher quality PVD or a DLC finish, something like that, you might get more of a Hubba Bubba experience. Like it's going to last a little longer. Like Tony said, maybe you just power through that a little bit. But eventually it's going to wear. And they're going to show more wear than I would like to see out of an iron. I tend to look at like raw wedges. I love that. I love seeing some of the rust develop, the patina.
It's because they spin more, right?
Is it the spin? Is it the extra
Yes,
spin?
it's because it spins more. I still got one soaking in the hot tub currently. It should be ready here in about a week. But no,
That could be true.
I like the way that looks. But I was also the guy, my baseball hats would always be sweaty and sweat stained, and my bat would have like layers of tape and nasty stuff on it. And I always like to have something like that in my kit that looked really kind of just worn, used, and good like that. But not my irons. I like the chrome. I like the shiny. I like that out of the irons. I don't want my if I were to go with a finish on an iron instead of chrome, I would actually go raw.
Would you go red with a flag on it?
I would go with a big ass, a Corvette stamp on the back. No, I would go with something super simple. Like I would just go straight up either raw or like a nice, just a really basic satin. But black, it looks so good. You want it to be able to stay so good, and that is so frustrating to me when it, it just starts to lose its flavor pretty quickly. For me.
I think a good point about it is resale value, because everyone knows that once you're done with clubs, So once you're done with clubs, you're like, do I keep them? No, I'm going to sell them. So you're probably going to lose a lot of money because they look battered and they look used. So
yeah, and if you care about resale value when you're looking for a club, different topic, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a math game, right? There are more durable finishes. We talk about the DLC and the DBM, and if you're just making a few sets, that few extra dollars per club doesn't really add up. But if you're making several thousand and each one costs you $2 to $3 more for the finish, math being what it is, and exponential growth and whatnot, you either have to charge the consumer more, in which case you have guys going, "Oh, I don't pay $200 more for black irons. That's stupid," or you get PVD, and so we get PVD.
I need to make this clock visible so that you guys can self-regulate. I think we make whatever jingle it was that Harry sang is your, at Miss America. No, not that one. The one you did today.
That's raw.
The final Jeopardy meets Mickey Mouse, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I apologize.
Anyway, all right, last segment. Before we go, I'm going to put each of you in the hot seat and ask you a really tough question, and you've got to answer it honestly. Ready?
I bet it's like, is marriage worth it?
Harry will start and end with you.
Wait a minute, where'd Harry go?
Harry, if you want to know, the answer is yes. That's the answer you can give back.
Yep.
Okay, hot seat. Tony, are you ready?
Do I have a choice? Sure.
No. Mizuno or Taylormade?
Mizuno.
That's it?
Every time.
Okay.
I mean, in the iron category, Mizuno every time. I mean, basically, I'm a guy who's kind of settled into, I'll try everything, but it's like one of those things. My favorite irons, the ones I keep going back to because they invariably perform well for me on the golf course, it's Mizuno. It's just like I always find my way back to Mizuno. So,
all right.
Done.
Harry, you're in the hot seat. Did you unload the dishwasher last night? Just kidding. Mizuno or Taylormade?
I can't remember.
Mizuno or Taylormade?
That's a tough one. I mean, if you're going
an unacceptable answer.
If you go, so here's my thought is, if you're going for woods, you're going Taylormade. All right, I'll go Mizuno, but I like Taylormade woods and the putter.
The asterisk. All right, fine. Chris, hot seat. Mizuno or Taylormade?
Mizuno.
Ooh, okay. Across the board.
Yeah, it's an easy one for me. I mean, I said I've played, full disclosure, I've played Mizuno irons since like the MP29, MP14s, when I had no business trying to play those clubs whatsoever. But the MX23s were one of my first game improvement sets that I really enjoyed playing, and throughout the iterations they've gotten continually better. I just think they're so far ahead for me personally in that category. Like Tony said, I test a lot of stuff, hit a lot of stuff. I continue to come back to Mizuno on the iron side, and that's that's kind of the relevant point that I'm starting with. We're not going to get into golf balls and woods and this, that, whatever. Just kind of start there. So.
Oh wait, I have another hot seat question. I forgot to ask you. Did you use any of that CBD ointment?
Oh, I did. So cooling gel roll. This stuff's really it's 3 for 3. It's definitely cooling. It's definitely a gel, and it definitely rolls. So.
Truth in advertising counts for a lot these days. Right?
Does it work?
Does it work? Actually, it does.
It pulls the gels and it rolls.
I'm always a little sore when I get done playing. Like my back, I'm getting old. I'm trying to catch up to Tony. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there.
You don't have tennis elbow? Is that what you had, Tony? It was tennis elbow?
Oh, Harry, you're going to get old at some point, and it's not as fun. And so I put a little of this on my back. I love it. Honestly, it has done wonders for.
Does it smell like
me.
Icy Hot?
100% smells like old people. Yes. Yes, it absolutely smells like old people.
Does it smell like old people and weed?
Yeah.
It smells like a bunch of high old people.
Because it smells like the nursing home has been lighting up.
It's basically like an old Grateful Dead concert at this point. That's what we're
with just a hint of Doritos or Taco Bell.
Absolutely, a little Cholito in there, and we're good. I was very skeptical. I've been very skeptical of CBD stuff. But it is working for me. I'm a believer in it. It's good. So
I'm also a believer in CBD as well.
I've never tried.
I'll throw that out there.
Tony has some on the way. He's gonna give it a run.
Tony won't touch it with a barge pole.
What?
I have no idea what you just said.
No one knows that over here?
Say that one more time.
I believe he said barge pole, but it doesn't really help.
What is a barge pole?
I know, it's a saying in England. It's like a really long stick.
Yeah, so we say 10
We
foot
would
pole
refer
over
to
here.
that as a 10-foot pole, yeah.
I'm sorry. Only English people know that. So this is all for you English people out there. You're welcome.
I'm wondering if there isn't like English phrases that maybe we should have just left in England, like barge pole.
And on that note, we out.